Welcome to the August 25th, 2020 episode of Reactive Consciousness, the in-depth podcast about what happened this week in our lives. I'm your host, vysethebold, and this is...
Lotus Prince.
Sticking the landing. Every time.
Flawless victory.
Makes my heart go doki doki every time.
It makes me want to join some kind of club.
Like a literature club.
Wait, where are you going with this?
A doki doki literature club?
What's that?
It was
Start the podcast
It's a
over.
documentary that I was a part of.
Okay.
You can find it on the Lotus Prince YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so this is our news podcast, and for all of you, it was just Tuesday.
For me?
We got a... What was that?
For me, it was Tuesday.
For me, it was Tuesday. But yeah, that's seriously a good line in a movie that doesn't deserve it.
And he had an arguably better line in the crappy 90s cartoon where Chun-Li was coming after him.
That is delicious.
No, like a legitimately good line. Where Chun-Li was mad at him for killing her father. Like, you killed my... Yes, I killed your father. Like, what is it with you anyway? I killed my father too, and you don't see me whining about it? Like, wow.
M. Bison, everybody. Or Dictator, as he's known.
Yes, he's known in the fighting game community.
In the fighting game community. What is he, Balrog in Japan?
He's Vega in Japan.
Oh, okay. Balrog is Vega, right?
Yeah, the
Okay.
Bison. What we know as M. Bison, Japan knows as Vega. What we know as Balrog, Japan knows as M. Bison, because Mike Tyson, you know?
Yeah.
And then the Claw guy, we know as Vega, Japan knows as Balrog.
Gotcha. Well, we actually have a lot to go over this week, so I wanna plow through it as quickly as possible. Just because we had a megaton bunch of stuff, especially right off the top, the Nintendo Indie World showcase got kind of just dropped on everybody. It was dropped even just after we had recorded.
Yeah, and everybody got mad because even though it's called fucking Nintendo Indie World,
it's just about the indie games.
Where's the Smash character? Where's the next
off.
Smash announcement?
Like, you don't care about all these other really cool games, and you only care about this one.
Yeah, I want to hear whether a character I probably won't play as anyway will be in the game that's been out for 2 years that has 1,000 characters in it.
I mean, you know what? I hope they're all Fire Emblem characters.
I hope they're all blue-haired swordsmen. Yeah.
I hope they're all blue-haired swordsmen from Fire Emblem. Fuck you. And the ones that you don't know, like the ones that are on
Japan only or something.
Yeah, it's the download only bullshit ones that you never got.
Or like the guy from Shadow Dragon that you could have played but didn't.
The alternate 2-player only character that nobody played as. I hope that's it. That's it. You know, fuck off with your bullshit. But seriously, there was some really good stuff announced during this. So right off the top, they went out with they started it with a banger. Supergiant Games, who is known for making
they're a big deal.
Bastion, and
Transistor.
Transistor and Pyre.
I always forget Pyre because this is just my personal bias, but the other two games got limited physical releases, and Pyre was on GOG. But I'm quite excited about this next one. And by the way, the soundtracks for all three are just
oh, they're all good. All their games are fantastic.
But even without playing the games, you could just buy their soundtracks and be perfectly satisfied. Those soundtracks
Transistor
are something
has
else.
an amazing soundtrack, and so does Bastion. But but especially Transistor. So the makers of those games is making a roguelite game called Hades, which looks very nice.
Yeah, that one I've seen on GOG for a while, on the it's going to come out kind of page.
Sure.
They have
Coming
a page
soon.
for it, you just can't buy it now. It's been up there forever, so it's really cool that they're finally locking it in.
Yeah, nice landing page. So I'm super excited about that, and roguelite games are perfect on the Switch. They are probably the best way to consume them.
That's very good, yeah.
Moving on from that, the Switch is getting a port of Hypnospace Outlaw. This is a game that's been all around for a while. Have you seen this one at all, Lotus?
I think, you know what? I think this game's brand new, isn't it? Because this game was run at GDQ. Like, this GDQ, like, a couple days ago.
So Hypnospace Outlaw came out last year, March of
That's what it
last year.
was? Okay,
Yeah.
okay, so then I don't know why I was on the indie world, but, like, yeah, like,
Well, it's on the Switch for the first
oh, the
time.
fact that it's coming on the Switch. Okay, yeah,
Yeah.
I saw this run at GDQ, and yeah, it like the person described it as kind of like a 90s internet like GeoCity simulator, even though the game's
Yes.
made in like 2019. And like what does that mean? And then I saw the gameplay, and like, they are not kidding.
Yeah, and what the big deal about this version is that they're including a brand new like feature rich and like content rich update included in this version of it. So like it's a lot more content compared to what was originally released to the game. Like there's a fair meaty chunk. But essentially, what this is you're right. This is an early '90s internet simulator, and it's a great game. It has like all kinds of. It's basically like playing an ARG, a fake ARG, alternate reality game inside a fake like 1999, which is really really awesome. It'll remind you like if you had just hopped on the internet in the late 90s, just like a lot of us did, right around like Windows 95 to 99. All that time period, and with a lot of like web pages that aren't they're all fan made, so there's no like everything looks really cookie cutter now.
Yeah, and everything. Well, yeah, I was gonna mention like everything you do is in like a separate small windowed window.
So this is a really really cool game, and I've had it on PC, on Steam for a while, but I haven't had a chance to boot it up yet. But this is a really cool game to have on your Switch. I would say just it'll be really neat. And bring you back to those old early days. And even if you weren't around then, it's still like a aesthetically
It's
the
like
way.
arguably, well, I don't know about, I was gonna say arguably better, but like
Yeah,
it's nostalgic for us. But if you've never seen 90s internet,
you'll
it'll
think it's
look weird. Like, how did you manage?
an exaggeration. You'll think it's hyperbole, but it really isn't.
and
It looks just like it.
and by the way, for anybody who asks, the reason we were able to get away with that shit back then is that the internet was not as memory intensive as it is now. Like, there
Oh,
wasn't all this complicated shit. Like, just opening up like Best Buy's website page would probably like crash your computer back in the day. Like today's Best Buy's webpage with all this stuff on it, like ads and everything. But back then, web pages were way simpler.
yeah, and another thing you'll notice as well is like every website back then was something special because it required a pretty big nerdy person to code it.
Yeah, now
And
there are
like
templates.
nowadays, there are lots of templates and stuff that you could do in order to set up a website.
And
And they didn't
sometimes,
have
if you
those
have a
things back
discerning
then.
eye, you could even tell like these two websites probably use the same template. There comes a point where you might be able to identify it on certain sites.
Oh yeah, sure, sure. A lot of people will just buy into a service and then like put together a drag and drop thing and
Yeah.
then call it a day. But all of these were coded by hand back then, and and it really has that feel. So
And don't
and
forget to
it
sign my guest book when you show up.
yeah, exactly, and counters and frames and all that shit.
Congratulations, you're the 14th hit on my site.
Do not steal real uh, original content.
Yeah, back when like if you tried right clicking on an image, there'd be some like
Just take it.
well, no, that was even earlier internet, but there got to a point where you would right click on an image and some message like, "Nah, you can't do that." Like, click OK. Like, fuck, and now nobody cares.
Yeah. But what's cool about this is that there's a game wrapped up in it. So it's not just a simulator, but you do all kinds of. You have goals, and there is like I think there is a story like hidden throughout
No,
it.
there
That
is.
kind
Like,
of
the
thing.
game's
Yeah.
hilarious, but it also has a legitimately moving plot.
Yeah, so I'm excited about this. Even just check out the trailer just because it's really neat. Moving on from that, there's a new management style game called Spirit Fair that was released the day of the Indie World Showcase.
Oh,
So that was pretty cool. It was one of those games where they were just like, "Hey, you can play it right now." Um, there's Garden Story, which looks pretty great. This is like an action adventure story, pixel style one that looks really fun. Let me see, Subnautica slash Subnautica with its update Below Zero is one of those underwater exploration type titles.
yeah. Good fucking luck with that, by the way, because that game looks hard to run like properly, like even on PC. Like I don't know what the Switch is gonna do to make that make sense.
Well, I think it might be built in Unity, and if that's the case, then it should be okay. Unity games run pretty all right on Switch these days. So, it does look beautiful. And it does include the expansion. So, if you like that type of like guided experience kind of games, kind of like Going Home or whatever like that.
Oh, Gone Home, yeah.
Or Gone Home. I'm sorry. The Vanishing of
Yeah, Ethan Carter.
Ethan Carter.
The thing with those, though, is those are more walking simulators, maybe with minor puzzles, but Subnautica is a ton of resource management, and then you have to put in
there's resource management. I didn't realize.
That's like the entire game. Yeah, you have to
I didn't realize.
Yeah, like this is not a walking simulator at all. You have to go diving for resources, go back to your little pod, build shit, so you can better explore, and you're like expanding your little base as you go. Like that's like so much of the game, and although there's an actual story.
Well, keep in mind, I only gathered what I could from the short clip in the Indie World Showcase, so I didn't realize that.
But yeah, there is oodles of resource
it has
management.
A fair amount of gameplay then.
Oh yeah, it's like some people go, oh, that's just a walking simulator. Subnautica is not that. It is like a straight up game.
All right, and there's a game called Takeshi and Hiroshi, which looked extremely charming.
It's me, Hiroshi.
Please watch our Let's Play.
It's
joint
coming.
Let's Plays.
It's coming.
We've made 2 others. You might want to binge to catch up if you haven't.
Yeah, they're only 3 parts each. They're short and they're hilarious.
Yeah, and there are points in which we don't want to read what we're reading. But game beans. Anyway, this game was released right there on Tuesday, so it's out now. And this is a game-making simulator. I believe it's a brother making an older brother literally making a game for his little brother.
Huh.
So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to balance it so he has a fun time. Like it doesn't kill him, but also like gives him a fair amount of challenge. They give you a simplified game making environment to make him a game and balance it for him. So it looks like it's a lot of fun. Basically, the only thing most things that you have control over are like the difficulty of each section, like kind of slidery, but it's kind of neat as you follow them in their world and as you're making the game. So that looks like a lot of fun. I actually really thought that was cool. And then Raji, which is a game that looks like I believe was made in India. There aren't too many like Indian origin games. So I thought that was really neat, and it's an adventure game based off of Indian mythology. So
that sounds bad. Indian mythology is freaking awesome. So that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was really really cool, and that was also out on Tuesday. Bear and Breakfast, which just looks like another management game. I didn't get much out of it, but it had a cool art style. I can throw that. Pixelated once again, like a lot of other indie games, but it looked neat.
Sure.
A Short Hike, which looked like a really fun exploration game.
Oh yeah, I saw that was run on GDQ as well.
Yeah, that one looks like a lot of fun. This is the game I was probably most excited about, other than Hades. Card Shark. So, there's been like a billion like casino style games and games where you have to play cards.
Oh yeah, even on the NES and probably before.
Yeah, there's and they're usually pretty rote and they're not all that fun for me. They might be fun for somebody who likes that kind of repetitive thing, but not making any money. But
but losing all your
like I can
money.
understand. Let me put it this way: I understand a poker simulator. I understand playing that, but slots, like, what are you even doing? Like, you just sit there and you win fake money. I don't. You could spend there like hours just watching it spin. I just don't get it. Um, but I do get a game that has some strategy to it. So. But this is really cool. So none of those games let you cheat. This game is entirely like revolves around learning different skills on how to cheat people out of their money in like a Victorian era like gambling parlor kind of
So
situation.
it's Kaiji the game.
Yeah, no, it looked really fun. Like and like you have all these mini games based around cheating. Like also like you have somebody who's helping you and they're your spotter, so they'll like give you a tell or wink at you or drop something when they know what the other person's holding. If they're going around being like a waiter, that
Sure.
kind of thing. So I just thought a spotter. So I just thought that was really neat, and I'm looking forward to that. Has a really neat art style as well. Torchlight 3, which is a fantastic fit on the Switch. I think that's a perfect kind of game that you would want on the Switch. It's a Diablo-like game, but it looked like a lot of fun. Um, Manifold Garden, which looked pretty neat. It's a first-person like puzzle game that is all about like MC Escher style like environments, like non-Euclidean,
Huh.
and like the way that you get out of a lot of the areas in this is by kind of breaking that non-Euclidean movement, and that looked like pretty interesting. Uh, Evergate looked like another puzzle platformer, and that was out on Tuesday. Manifold Garden was out on Tuesday as well. Like a whole bunch of stuff, and then they had a whole bunch of smaller ones that they like went over quickly. Probably out of that, it most looked cool because it's kind of like Arkham kind of or Cthulhu mythos kind of thing, um, and Goner 2 because Goner 1's a pretty fun roguelite, and they kept it all off with Untitled Goose Game getting a multiplayer update. So you can have two asshole geese
Yeah, so you
torturing
could
that
cause even more
town.
havoc.
Yeah, yeah. So they the last thing they showed. Have you seen much gameplay of Untitled Goose Game?
I've seen some.
Okay. Have you seen them torturing the little kid? Because that's like the highlight
I
of the
forgot
game.
exactly how it works, but I know you can really fuck with some kid. What do you like tie his shoelaces together and make him trip or something?
Yeah, and then you could take his glasses, and then he can't
Yeah.
see. Oh, you're the absolute worst dick to him. Well, the very last scene they showed was two geese like ganging up on this little kid.
That sucks.
Great. That is the perfect kind of game to have a two-player thing because you can distract people with one goose and take care of the puzzles with the other, and I'm sure it's even more fun that way. It's that's the kind of game that is also a good social experience. Even if one person is playing, it's just fun to watch them play, just because it's a sandbox. You could do all kinds of dastardly things to the people in that game, and it's a lot of fun. So I just thought that was neat, and they also revealed that there is a physical edition of that coming out for the Switch. So that's even better. Some people even called this Game of the Year for last year. If you haven't checked that out, go for it. It's a really fun experience. I definitely recommend it. I own it. I played it a bit, and it's everything that everybody said it was. It's really fun, charming, and a lot of Schadenfreude going on in that game for sure. And they're also having like an indie sale right now for the Switch as well. So a bunch of really good stuff there. I don't know if you had any final commentary on this list, but there's some really good stuff here. I know Hades is definitely a game that you're looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad because I haven't actually played any of Supergiant's games, but like I want to. Just
Yeah,
when is that going to be the next one I play? You know?
I've beaten Bastion, and it's absolutely worth it.
Yeah.
It's really fun. I got halfway through Transistor, not because I didn't like it, but I got distracted or something. So, but definitely worth it. So, please check it out. And then you had some items that you wanted to talk about with GDQ wise.
Yeah, Games Done Quick is now over, and it was actually a more successful GDQ than I thought it was going to be because on around Thursday, I want to say, they were at something like $700,000,
Oh wow!
and a lot of times the GDQs hit like 2.5 million. They've actually started to touch 3 million lately. So I figured, all right, this is virtual. This is going to be less successful. Like I expected them to break 1 million because there comes a point where people suddenly start donating in droves because we're like, well, we got to hit that checkpoint. We got to hit $1 million. But there wasn't really a lot of stuff I was interested in watching live for the last couple days, especially because the last run was like 4.25 hours, and it was like Pokemon Sword Shield, and I don't care about that game.
Sure.
But I tuned in toward the end to see like what the money was, and no, they severely backloaded the donations on this GDQ. They actually hit like 2.3 million last time I checked. So they actually hit like standard expected amounts for an event of this sort. So it's very pleasing to say that they didn't suffer critical losses because of the virtual experience. Like they got like for GDQ, like an expected amount of donations, which is great because it'd be a real shame if they got considerably less, considering that this is all going to charity. But no, they made it work. There were some obvious, technical difficulties in some places where like calls would be dropped and have to re-get on, or there'd be a little delay or whatever. But like I said the first time, or I guess last week, it's really cool to see a bunch of runners that we might not otherwise see because anybody can join, from whatever country at this point without having to travel to the specific location that a GDQ would normally be held at. And there were two outstanding runs I really wanted to point out. One of them was from a guy in Russia doing Devil May Cry 4. That guy is a freaking wizard. You should watch the Devil May Cry 4 run. That was one of the most entertaining set of commentaries. It actually had technical gaffes because I don't think he could communicate with the virtual couch. So the runner turned off his own mic and just did the game and was making like contextual facial expressions for when he would get something done. And the commentators were hilarious and very informative, especially because one of the people on the couch didn't know Devil May Cry. So by educating that person, they're educating the rest of us anyway. It was a blast to watch, and also post-game. Devil May Cry 4 has a thing called the Bloody Palace, where it's just this... I don't know if it's actually endless, or if it's just extremely long, but this super endurance grind where you can go and just fight a bajillion bosses or whatever. And the runner fought what was called Gods Must Die. I don't know if that was a difficulty that was patched in, or if that was a modded thing for PC, but he did Gods Must Die against Credo and against Dante, because he's playing as Nero. And those fights are the craziest shit I've seen in a very long time regarding just fast-paced action like this. This is like peak Platinum, like Platinum Games gaming. This shit was bananas. I recommend watching that. And one other thing I'll shout out, I thought this is actually pretty clever. Usually what happens for these virtual runs, really for any run, actually, even in the physical GDQs, is that the video game takes up the majority of the screen, and then like in a little smaller, like picture-in-picture, they have the runner on the couch and everything like that, and showing a little bit of the convention center, but you could see them, and that's cool, but they're not really the point. The point is the game you're watching. But what I thought was fascinating is that one guy did like the DDR-style game Pump It Up, and he has his own like arcade setup at home. So what I thought was amusing was that the arrows you see in Pump It Up really aren't very interesting. So the smaller picture was the game screen, and the bigger picture was the guy playing the game, because that's really what you're there to see. And again, this guy is next level. You got to see this maximum Pump It Up gameplay. It's amazing to watch, and there is no damn way that would have been at a GDQ, because like you're not going to bring this huge arcade machine plus these two metal pads over there. So this is something that I think you could only get with the virtual GDQ. So that was pretty fun to watch, or well, pretty fascinating, very fun to watch. So I recommend looking into that one as well.
Oh, very nice, very nice. And I heard there was a little bit of drama here that you wanted to talk about involving a certain food franchise.
Why, yes. Recently, I saw some people on Twitter posting some severe bullshit that they've been experiencing on their streams, which is like Burger King had like a couple of bots show up in really popular streamer streams, and it's a pretty common thing for YouTube or Twitch to have something called a super chat, where you can pay some amount of money, you know, however much you want, and like your message will be more apparent in the chat, and either the streamer notices it, like they get pinged or whatever, and they're like, oh, well, user 123 says this, blah, 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 and then they respond to it, or if you have like a text-to-speech kind of bot that just reads it out loud for you, that can be a thing. So Burger King was doing that with a few chats. Like, it would be like, you know, did you know that for just $1.50 you can get this meal or whatever at Burger King, like in the super chat? And it's like, number one, could you please...
Scummy.
Yeah, like, number one, could you please shut the fuck up? But also, number two, like, they're not sponsoring...
infringing on other people's, like sponsors.
Yeah,
and
they're not sponsoring the streamer stuff. So,
yeah,
like...
they're not paying them for
now they...
their ad
they're
space.
paying them, like, $1 fucking. So, like, now they, like... Now the streamers have to worry about that because now, like, a company is associated with their stream and shit like that. But also, depending on what kind of stream is happening... If you're doing, like, a Prime thing, like, if you're doing, like, Twitch Prime or whatever, and you're paying money to, like, not get fucking ads, you know, here we got this, and you, the streamer, are getting advertised to while you're streaming. This isn't somebody clicking on your video and sitting through a commercial. This is you, the streamer, as well, and everyone watching it live. Fuck off.
Yeah,
and not only that, but like...
It's no different than any, like, scam, like, spam post in the bottom of any comment section. Or
if a regular user started doing that shit, like self-advertising or whatever, they'd be like, dude, could you not? But, like, now we have this multi-billion-dollar corporation doing it. Go fuck yourself. And not only were they doing that, this wasn't even some stealth mechanic either. Like, on Twitter, they were posting, like a supercut of, like, highlighted clips of some streamers. They were like, yo, check it out. And, like, they were, like posting it in a positive light. And it's like, you're posting clips of streamers without their permission in your commercial of yourself advertising on their streams.
That's
So now
slimy.
those streamers are associated in your commercial that they never got asked permission for. Like, go fuck yourself. Like, that's unbelievably shitty.
And I'm a little surprised because Burger King doesn't really have a history of crumminess. So, like in terms of its advertising, it's usually been on the fun side.
Yeah, this is a terrible look.
This is a bad look. Yeah, this is.
Like, I wonder if they were trying to, like... The attitude doesn't match, but, like, so that this might be coming out of nowhere, but I'm wondering if they're trying to get, like get clever, like Wendy's with its sassy Twitter accounts, or KFC with its dating sim thing. Like, oh, Burger King's gonna try something, but, like, this is terrible.
That has buy-in from the people that it's advertising to. Like,
yes.
This is not buy-in, this is intrusion.
Yeah, it is literally intrusion. Like, it's fucked up.
I mean, Arbys was, like, the king of this. They
Yeah, Arbys would make, like, paper craft of, like, insert pop culture thing here, and you would look at that on Twitter. You'd be like, I recognize that thing. That's kind of amusing. You're done.
They earned the attention that they were getting because, like, that stuff was really neat.
Yeah, because they didn't fuck with you personally. Yeah.
No, they just they put out some stuff that people.
Yeah, did you know that Arbys PR guy has heard of One Piece? Guess what? They have. Like, oh, cool, I guess. Like, there you go, you're done.
All that cool stuff. Like, you know, they cut all that stuff out of cardboard and made it look nice.
Yeah, that can't have been
really
easy.
Some skill.
Yeah.
But that's really scummy.
But this is just popping up in somebody's feed with, like, a robot saying, like, hello for 99 cents, or, like, get the fuck out of it. Like, because, like, I saw this because Ross O'Donovan, like Rubber Ross, the guy who, you know, was associated with the Game Grumps for a while, and he does his own thing, and he's an animator. Like, he had clips because like he isolated a clip of him like responding to that. He was like, okay, like I used to work at like a Hungry Jack's back in Australia. That was kind of Australian Burger King. I think I'd probably prefer that though. Thanks. It's just like it's fucking awkward. Like
Yeah.
I'm doing an animation or a game stream, like whatever kind of stream you're doing.
At
Get the hell out of here.
At least like give the the streamer the opportunity to like work with you. You know,
Well,
like,
that's the
because-
thing. Are you paying me $700 in sponsorship or not? No. Instead, you're tossing me $1 so you can get quote free like
no
advertising.
problem with sponsorship. I mean, that's how things are done. But
Yeah.
like,
This is subverting sponsorship,
invasion.
and it's invasive, and now they're using clips of particular streamers in their like supercut thing on their own Twitter page. Like, check what we've been doing with these streamers, and like, I didn't fucking sign up for this. Like, so you just like stole a clip of my stream of you advertising on my stream. That's like, and again, I'll say this again, like posting it like, check how cool this is. Like, no, this is really shitty. Like, don't ever fucking do that.
yeah.
Like, that's the thing I can't believe, is that they don't... This isn't something they're trying to sneak by us. They're, like, publicly declaring it. Like, yo, pretty cool, huh? And, like, literally everybody's like, no.
Yeah. Well, moving on from that, this is some...
Yeah,
some
one thing
bullshit
to
as
another.
well.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there is a huge amount of fallout going on at Lab Zero, the makers of Skullgirl, developers of Skullgirls, and developers
Indivisible.
of Indivisible as well.
Mm-hmm.
So can you brief everybody on what's been going on with that?
Well, this is brief. I didn't look very deeply into
There's
this.
a lot
but...
There's a lot of background.
Yeah,
to
like
this
I
that I'm
first
not
heard about this
entirely
like an hour ago, so
familiar.
I can't go much into this. But like one of the main devs in the company is like really toxic and shitty, and like people tried to get rid of
He's
him,
the
but then he
owner
got
of
rid
the
of everybody else. He was the only one left, and then he tried renegotiating with everybody, and people are like, I'm fucking out. Like I saw somebody in the Twitter comment section saying that he's like the yandere dev, except he could like actually fucking make games.
I also heard that he's been saying like really not okay things to a lot of female streamers.
Yeah, well,
like,
yeah, he's
in their
like
DMs
a
and
toxic
stuff.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
So people are trying to dissociate from him.
Yeah, no, he's a grade A creep. I don't even want to say his name. I don't want to give him any advertisement. But
Yeah. But that kind of reminds me though. This is from a while back, but I remember like, you know, on Reddit, like the Ask Reddit page, it was like, what are some like toxic like game developers or shitty game developers? And like this was before the Lab Zero Fallout, but like, you know, you click a page like that expecting to see like, oh, I didn't know about this person. Oh, I didn't know about that person either. But like 85% of the fucking responses were like the yandere dev. It's like, oh god.
Yeah,
like
I
everybody
don't
agrees.
I'm not even completely familiar with it, other than the meme of talking about him.
Yeah, also just a shitty person.
Yeah, no, I think he with no talent and no ability to get a game out. Apparently,
well, that's what I was saying with like the Lab Zero. Like he's yandere dev, except he actually knows how to fucking code.
Yeah, well, so Skullgirls is a pretty well respected game.
Skullgirls is brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah. And so Indivisible has its fans too, which it's supposed
Yeah,
to be
Indivisible, I don't think people expected like the way its gameplay would work. Like if you knew
like
it going
Valkyrie
in, you probably
profile?
like it more, like a Valkyrie profile kind of style gameplay.
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
not a very common kind of gameplay. But again, just gorgeous animation.
Yeah, no, the art style's great. The silver lining in this all is one of the main developers left because of all this bullshit.
Yeah, that's the thing that I had found about it. Like that's it. I'm out. Yeah.
And but the silver lining in it is that it seems like the good people are getting away, which is always a good thing.
Yeah.
They're getting out of the toxic environment, and the other good thing is apparently Indivisible and the Skullgirls IP is not owned by Lab.
Yeah, I'd heard about that. So it's not like, well, whatever, man. I got the games. What do you got? Like
They could
no?
potentially even hire the good people from the talent that left.
Yeah.
And rehire them to work on the game still.
Yeah.
You know, I
yeah, this
definitely
isn't one of those situations
hope
like
that
you
happens.
can't take me down. I am the company, but like it doesn't matter in this case.
Yeah. It's really a shame when that kind of thing happens, especially to a game that is beloved. I mean, like,
Yeah.
Nicalis has a big issue going on with it.
Yeah, Nicalis has so many good games and such a
Yeah,
reputation for
but
shittiness.
they rip off all their developers. Like every time I see a new game that I like get published by them, I go, oh god, what did they do to you?
Yep.
Like they're the Western publisher for Ikaruga. I wonder who they fucked
Yeah.
over at Treasure, which is a beloved company of mine.
Yeah, and
So,
and Cave Story, of
oh,
course.
well, that's the poster child of that.
Yeah.
And of course, the guy who makes Isaac is distancing himself from them as well.
That's
So,
right. That's right. I forgot Isaac was part of that.
Evan
Yeah.
McMillan.
Oh, of course he was, because Blade Strangers. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. All of the I think Nicalis even publishes the PC version, current version of Isaac.
Huh.
So yeah, because it originally was just like the console versions, but I think the all the Rebirth stuff is by Nicalis too. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
man.
So like even on Steam, it's a Nicalis game. So, but he said he's not publishing any of his games through them
Yeah.
anymore. So.
And he's like, I mean, Isaac is just like the king of roguelikes, so like he can get away with
Well,
that.
it's the game that really
Yeah, he's made games before Isaac, but Isaac really took off.
Spelunky was really what jump started that genre, but Isaac popularized it for sure.
That's the thing. Yeah, Isaac made it, brought it all into the mainstream.
So, moving on from that, there's some more drama here. All the head creative leads on Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 have left the project or been fired.
This is like what you were saying, or almost the opposite of what you were saying about Metroid Prime 4. Like, they're looking for a lead dev. Like, this is like this time, Bloodlines 2, the lead devs are leaving. And it's like, that's not good.
Yeah, I think this is all the people that were important from the original game are now gone. So that is awful. Yeah, so Brian Nitsoda has been fired as the narrative lead, and I think what was it? The producer and the creative director quit of this game. And so a little bit of background here. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines is a beloved classic RPG. First-person RPG game, very much in the line of like Deus Ex or something like that, but with vampires.
And different like factions of vampires.
Yeah, no, it had that complexity of what, and the freedom of what you could do during that era.
It felt almost like a Dungeons and Dragons Ravenloft campaign.
Yeah. I mean, it's based off of a pen and paper RPG called
Yes.
Vampire the Masquerade. So I mean,
it makes sense.
just along with like Shadowrun and games like that are based off of pen and paper RPGs. It goes along with that, but like
Dungeons and Dragons wasn't based off of a paper RPG.
It absolutely was.
Was it?
It in fact made RPGs. It is the RPG. There would not be any RPGs.
Well, Lord of the Rings wasn't based on paper-based source material.
That has nothing to. Yet.
The first Lord of the Rings content was the GameCube Battle for Middle-earth.
Or the Super Nintendo game made by Interplay.
Yeah. Actually, the Hobbit game was like I think more accurate to the book. Like
So
before the movie came out.
So was the Fellowship games, but yeah. Anyway, but yeah, they could get the book rights, but not the movie rights.
Yeah, but like as a result, though, like the costume, like Gandalf with his blue conical hat, it like what? But that's actually how it was described in the book. Yeah. It's like the Ralph Bakshi Gandalf.
Yeah, jeez. But Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines was a huge cult hit, and even more so now because it has more like word of mouth than it used to.
Yeah.
But it was one of those games that was broken in terms of action, but the RPG choices and like things that you could do in it were very revolutionary and very fun and very open-ended. So it allowed you to do whatever you wanted and align yourself at any way you wanted, and it was a lot of fun. The dialogue was extremely well written. The story was really good. And it took place in like Gothland, which is kind of a novelty. It's like gothy.
Yeah, and like when you're playing a vampire game, like that's exactly what you want.
Yeah, exactly. So, and it was like goth mixed with urban decay, which is
Yeah.
pretty awesome. It's like Deus Ex, but with vampires. Like it's basically what I.
It kind of is. Instead of
Yeah.
cyberpunk, it's like, I don't know if goth punk is a word, but
Yeah, yeah. It's like, it's kind of its own thing. But yeah, it's like imagine if Underworld had a video game almost like
yeah, I
yeah,
could kind
kind
of
of like
see
that.
that. I could
Yeah.
kind of see that. Like they're in all these buildings that for some reason humans never seem to occupy. Don't worry,
Yeah,
it's
like
fine.
Blade, like early 2000s,
Yeah, yeah. Same
late
with Blade. Like
90s
we know that
urban
humans exist, but
areas.
you barely see them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like urban grunge from that
Yeah, yeah.
era mixed with vampires. So, but unfortunately, it looks like it's in trouble because if these people left or quit, it sucks, and it I very much would say it's in super trouble, first of all, because it has nobody helming those roles at the moment, which are like the most important roles.
Yeah. The
And
creative director, yeah.
number so like who's going to shepherd this project and guide it and make sure it gets finished and
Yeah, the
also have it
narrative
be
lead
good.
in a game where like everything is the writing.
Yeah, I mean, people famously, just like with Deus Ex, kind of like, the action's not what you're there for. It's there you're there for the story and the dialogue, and
Yeah.
just the same thing with like Alpha Protocol. The action's mediocre at best, but like the dialogue and the story are mwah,
Yeah, yeah.
like that's what you're there for. So, but yeah, I'm very wary about this. Also, Battletoads was released, the new Battletoads, and it kind of has like a lukewarm perception at the moment. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how mind blowing this game was ever going to be. Like, none of
yeah,
the Battletoads games are like the best.
it's
Everybody
beat
just
'em up.
remembers the first Battletoads because they couldn't beat level 3 because the difficulty was spiked way
Fucking
too high
hard.
in America.
Yeah, this one is apparently like a lot more accessible, a lot easier to play. So I
Well, yeah, I
mean,
mean, rentals of video games are barely a thing anymore, so don't worry about it.
yeah, I mean, this game is a lot more playable than the original Battletoads. I can tell you this right off the
Yeah.
bat.
See
I
also Lion King on Genesis and Super Nintendo. Have fun
Yeah.
beating that game legitimately.
Oh, Lion King. Oh God, that one's really, really
That was
hard.
another like gatekeeper, like level 3 or 4
Oh, once you
video
get to the
game.
hyena,
Oh, the Elephant
the
Graveyard.
elephant graveyard is
No,
one of
even
the
before
hardest.
that, I just want to be king when you're swinging on the monkeys. That
Oh, the
shit is
monkeys.
bananas. And like, yeah, but
Yeah,
the Elephant Graveyard is another absolute choke point. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So, it's apparently not as good as something like maybe like Streets of Rage 4 or Double Dragon Neon, but it's still good. So,
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. It's all you want from a Like, what do you want from a Battletoads game?
yeah. I mean, I bought it right away. I mean, it looks like fun to me. I haven't gotten a chance to play it.
Does Battletoads have a secret level where you turbo race against the Shovel Knight?
Uh, well, you do turbo race in this game. There is turbo racing. So,
Against the Shovel Knight?
I don't know about Shovel Knight, but
Do you get to fight characters who were in the Killer Instinct game?
God knows.
You're playing
I mean, it wouldn't be
Battletoads and
out of
fucking
place.
Jago shows up as a boss.
It wouldn't be out of place because Rare did do consulting on this game. So, yeah, I mean, it looks like fun to me. So I'm definitely gonna go give it a go and report back for sure. I like the art style. I think it looks great. It's a good looking game. So
Like I don't know if you would know this, but are you still fighting the Dark Queen?
I think she's done a heel face turn in this game. I think
Whoa.
she's like helping you.
Whatever
Yeah.
the evil is must be serious indeed.
Well, you know what it is about like fun bad guys. They always do a heel face turn because like you want them around. It's like Venom. Like Venom becomes a good guy because
Because he's so cool, but Dark
he's
Queen
cool.
wasn't really like that. She's just the final boss who shows up real quick.
She's iconic.
She is.
Yeah, it looks a lot less like a dominatrix. I can tell you that. She
Yeah,
looks
that was a little risque for the NES.
not even a little. Like she just straight up looks like a dominatrix. But yeah, in this one, it's more Saturday cartoon kind of
Okay.
design. But that's okay. I'm okay with it. Moving on from that, I did want to talk about this. Jesus, I should have talked about this a little earlier, but
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
there's some drama going on here. So actually, the Oculus platform has been making some traction because they're pretty affordable and they're like good for their price compared to like the HTC Vive or the other expensive VR headsets that are way mind blowing, but like also you need like $1,500 to get them.
That's the thing. Like you get what you
Yeah.
pay for.
Yeah, but like the Oculus platform has been making strides in being mainstream because like they're priced right, and they give you a good experience for what you pay for. Facebook, who owns Oculus? Not that I'm surprised about this, but it just fuck off. Facebook has basically said that they're doing away with the Oculus front end store, like where you buy Oculus games, and attaching the store directly to Facebook. So you need to have a Facebook account in order to use any Oculus product from now on.
Yeah, that's a pain in the ass.
Sucks.
Like because the thing is like with YouTube, you need a Google account, and that was obnoxious enough, even though everybody uses Google. But
Yeah.
like, what if you're not into social media? What if you're not into that social media? Because like by this point, like Facebook is for like the older people. Like younger people often do not have Facebook accounts. So this is like a pain in the ass. Like you gotta make a Facebook account now.
Not only that, but it's attached to your profile, and it leads towards data collection concerns.
Yeah, I've had
like
a Facebook account since literally, well, I don't know about literally day
since
one, but
Rumbers.
since year one. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've had a Facebook account since the year was made,
freshman year of college.
over a decade, but I still wouldn't want to attach my video game peripheral to a fucking social media account. And again, even more annoying to have to make like a throwaway account, like a burner account that you're never going to use, just so you can use your fucking Oculus.
Yeah,
Not to
it
mention
just
what
sucks.
happens. What happens like. Not everything lasts forever, like e-stores can close down. What happens if Facebook? Well, I don't expect Facebook to go under because they're just
gigantic.
like rich pricks. But like, yeah, what happens when the next cool social
I
media?
mean, they're
thing...
basically a utility at this point.
Yeah, but I mean, remember MySpace though? MySpace was the biggest thing, and then
Yeah.
then it was sold. What if something should happen to Facebook? Like, I can't use my fucking
I mean,
video gaming
regulation
peripheral.
could potentially like really hinder them as a platform. So I mean, like
Yeah, like I don't want something completely out of control, out of my control, to like inhibit my ability to plug in a device and use it. Like that's some bullshit.
Yeah, my concern is mainly like linking one more thing for them to collect data on.
Yeah,
me.
they're already
Yeah.
notorious for collecting people's data without permission.
Yeah, so like I mean, Valve is very good about that kind of thing. So I would much rather own a Valve product.
I'd rather save that money for a fucking Vive.
I'm stick with my PlayStation VR, which is the most
Yeah, my
accessible one.
far cheaper, works perfectly fine with PS4 games VR. Yes, I'll stick with that, please. Thank you.
Yeah, no, the
Oh
PlayStation
no, my
VR.
PlayStation device is attached to my PlayStation account. That's a given.
If anybody asks me if they what they should try if they want to get into VR, if you already have a PS4, that's the way to go because the PSVR is cheap but still a very good experience for the price.
Yeah, and it has a lot of games that
A lot of exclusives.
more than you might think. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of exclusives, and it has most of the really good stuff.
Yeah, like there's a bunch of PC exclusives. Like, not
yeah.
gonna lie, but there's a bunch of PS
Half-Life
exclusives
Alyx
as
is the big
well.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, Half-Life Alyx is the real obvious standout title. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Which, oh, by the
almost
way,
everything else.
I forgot to mention this. Half-Life Alyx was run at GDQ.
Oh.
So the smaller picture-in-picture, you got to see the runner doing all the crazy movements and like running around his room to play the game. It was
I still
like,
want to play that game. I'm very
so like
jealous.
to speedrun, like you have to be physically moving around the room and like doing all this like physical stuff.
I'm very jealous of people that can play that game, honestly.
Yeah.
And one of the best ways to do it was with with an Oculus Touch, and now, geez, like
Yeah, now go fuck yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, also Sony announced that Ghost of Tsushima is getting an expansion called Legends with co-op multiplayer mode, which is really cool, and that's announced for PS4 this fall. I just thought that was a neat thing. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
much about Ghost of Tsushima other than like
Yeah,
people love it. So
yeah. Like my brother recently finished it, and he said he loved it. So like,
yeah,
sounds good to me.
yeah. I'll be getting to that eventually.
Same. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, I'm gonna play it. It's just a matter of when.
And
In the meantime, I'm playing fucking Evergrace.
yeah, yeah. Seriously.
I don't. I like.
I
It's not even like I'm fine with it. It's just like this is what I'm up. This is what I'm prioritizing.
I mean, I've been playing Return of the Obra Dinn, which isn't exactly a new game either. So, but
It's quite new.
yours is a lot more archaic and
Well, it's just funny because it's like
yeah,
from the forgotten era of FromSoft.
which I mean, basically everything before Dark Demon Souls is honestly
Yeah, Kingsfield and Armor Core you've kind of heard of maybe, and
yeah.
then it's really Dark
Armored Core is
Souls.
really their mainstream series for most of their time.
Yeah.
But anyway, I just wanted to throw this out here. Arcade Archives released a new title, Konami title that has rarely gotten a port called Trigon Lightning Fighters. It is a or slash Lightning Fighters. It's called Trigon in Japan, Lightning Fighters in the U.S. It is kind of a generic shmup. It's not one of their better titles, but it's still good and interesting if you look like Konami stuff. So I just threw that in there.
Sure, sure.
And also out of this was kind of this had a little bit of fanfare before it released, but people are
Hmm.
really starting to love it. Microsoft Flight Simulator, like the new version of
Yeah,
that
I'd
released.
heard.
Yeah, yeah, really cool stuff. Apparently everybody who's been playing it loves it, which is it could be disastrous if a game of this scale was not well loved, because like uh, the amount of like detail that they put into games like this is like super high. Like they model the cities to be exactly like they really are. They even like all of the aircraft control exactly like they should if they were real. There are some people that have trained to become real pilots on Microsoft Flight Simulator. It's that like older versions of it. It's that accurate and like to the science of it and all that. Plus, they have fun modes on top of that. But the people that I've been seeing on Twitter that have picked it up love it. I mean, if it works, that is. There's some kind of glitchy things with maybe starting it up, but I'm sure that'll be ironed out over time. So, but the actual game itself is apparently really, really awesome, and Microsoft hasn't put out like a game like this in a very long time. So,
You know, I haven't heard about Flight Simulator in a while.
yeah, I think the last one was 11. Does that sound
That
right?
I wouldn't. I don't know. I wouldn't even know.
Yeah. So Microsoft Flight Simulator has famously uh, had weird naming um, naming conventions.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So every version of it is just called Microsoft Flight Simulator. That's the problem. Like they don't say like 2.0 or anything like that
Yeah,
to
it's very
distinguish it.
obnoxious.
So every single version is you don't know what you're buying, especially in the older versions of it. It was really annoying because you didn't know whether you were getting an update or not. So the last one to be released was called Flight, I think. Yeah, Microsoft Flight. Um, and yeah, that was the last one that was released, and 10 was the one before that. So yeah, this is basically the 11th one. So, but yeah, it the last one was released. The Microsoft Flight Simulator X, which is 10, had a Steam update with like major content added in 2014. That was the last time, and that was an update of a already 8-year-old game. So like. Uh, yeah, and Flight was it's not considered a mainline title. So yeah, the last full release of a title in this series was 2006. So 14 years. Yeah. So yeah, this is a monumental event and apparently went well. So that's pretty cool. Also, in the news, a lot of Goemon. Did you see this at all?
I mean, I saw it on the notes, but I hadn't otherwise heard about it.
So, what happened was, you probably heard us talking about the issues with the translation of Super Nintendo's Legend of the Mystical Ninja Goemon 3. I'm not going to recap it because it was a lot of drama and didn't need to happen, and wasn't being fair to a class of people. But on the upside, that translation group did fix their errors over time, and did make it more of a mainstream translation without slurs in it. But that same translation group also just completed the remainder. They released patches for the remainder of the Goemon games on the Super Nintendo, which is really phenomenal work outside of the criticisms that you may have of them. So the fourth game, which has never been fan translated or translated at all, finally got its fan translation, and it is by far one of the most impressive games that was ever released on the Super Nintendo, Super Famicom platform. So that's neat. And they also did a full-scale fan translation of the original game, because when it was when it was localized to the United States, they changed quite a bit. They even changed the
Yeah.
name of the main character to Kid Ying and Dr. Yang for Abisumaru.
Yeah, and the kappas were called like goblins.
Yeah, and they also changed they Americanized a whole bunch of stuff too.
Yeah.
And other bits of
It's a good thing they did too. Otherwise, I would never have been able to follow this wacky game where you're going
takes
through
place in
feudal.
Edo, Japan.
It's still clearly, yeah, it takes place in Edo, Japan, with weird ghosts and tanukis. That shit's all intact, but thank God they changed the main character's name, or I would have been lost.
What's also kind of cool about this is that the same translation team did all four games, so they have a unification of
consistency.
style, consistency of style and verbiage.
They have a Martian Gothic unification of style.
What?
Shout out to the 3 people listening to this podcast who get that one.
Wow, that is such an English nerd joke mixed with Martian Gothic of all things. But also, there's an Abisumaru like guiding game, or like a side game starring the side character.
That's amazing.
That they also released a translation of at the same time as these other 2 mainline games.
Very nice.
I mean, friction aside, due to their choices and the fallout of it, they did end up going back and rethinking what they did before. So it shouldn't happen, but still, they there's points for improvement, I guess, and you can't discount all their work that they put into this. They thought they were doing the right thing, but they obviously weren't from their privilege point. But these games don't. The rest of these don't have slurs in them or anything like that, because they don't even, it doesn't even fit. So but yeah, they put out all 3 of these things all at once over the weekend. So I think that's a huge accomplishment, especially games that have been desperately needing a fan translation for a very long time. These were amongst the top games that I've been hoping would get fan translated. The only other games that I really want from this era are the Far East of Eden games. I can't think of anything else that you. Can you think of anything like 16-bit to 8-bit that you really wish would have gotten a fan translation that you haven't gotten one of?
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't even. I'm not even really aware of many Japanese only, like Genesis or Super Nintendo games or whatever. So that's tough even from the beginning.
I mean, you got your JoJo, so you're happy, right?
You're goddamn right. Did they ever? They already translated the SMT games, right?
All of them, I think.
Okay.
All of them from that era.
Okay.
Or if they haven't, they're only like some obscurities remain because the main titles were translated long ago.
Sure,
Um,
sure.
yeah, I can't think of. I think even the strategy game from that era has gotten translated.
Okay.
Um,
And even Langrisser, like it's come over
I
in an
think all
official
of those have
capacity
gotten.
now.
Yeah, I mean, like Langrisser 1 and 2 were for the Genesis, and they got
They were relatively
fan
recently
translations.
released. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was Dare Langrisser as well. So even like the special version of 2, the Super Nintendo version of 2, got fan translated. So there's very few. I think we just also got the BS Fire Emblem game. Like a downloadable Fire Emblem game from that era.
Hmm.
Just got fan translated as well. So like most of the Fire Emblem games even have been fan translated at this point. But also going along with this, lots of Goemon news somehow. But Ship to Shore Media announced that they're going to be putting out the Goemon vinyl based off of the Super Nintendo game. So
And that actually
that's
that
pretty
has a
cool.
very good soundtrack.
Oh no, all of Konami's soundtracks from that era are bangers. Like I can't even think of a bad soundtrack from the 8-bit to 16-bit era that they actually developed, I should say. Because they obviously were a publisher. They published some like EA stuff, and which it wasn't theirs. Really, they just published it. But even those had good soundtracks, even though they were unrelated. Um, but I just wanted to put out that stuff as well. Also, we talked about the Astro City minicab and how we were excited for that, especially since it had like Golden Axe, Revenge of Death Adder on it.
Mm-hmm.
So there were 10 more games added to the list. And there's plenty more on the way apparently. But the new games that were added are Bonanza Brothers. It's okay.
Oh, that one. Okay, yeah.
Columns, which is a pretty decent puzzler, not the
What
best.
they need to do is I think it was columns 3, like specifically just to include the manual.
Well, I don't think Columns 3 is an arcade game. I think it's just a
I
console
don't
game.
care. I
Yeah.
don't care. Give me that manual or the box or whatever it was.
Cotton, which is a surprise. That's the
Oh,
cute
that's
'em up
interesting.
shmup starring a witch girl.
Yeah, I'd only ever heard of that being on the Turbo Graphics.
Yeah, it was also a bunch of them have been on the Sega platforms like Sega Saturn and
Okay.
Genesis, but it never was really owned by Sega. So this is pretty awesome that they are releasing the arcade version of the original Cotton because we only ever got like ports of it that were pretty good ports, but like never the arcade authentic version. So this is great. Crackdown, which I'm surprised about the arcade version of Crackdown. I've never even played that. I've only
Yeah,
ever
I
played the
don't know that
Genesis
one. I've
version.
heard the name, but that's it.
Uh, eSWAT, which I've
I
only
super
ever
don't know
played the
that.
Genesis version of that. Kind of imagine Shinobi, but with RoboCop in it.
Fair enough.
Okay. Game Ground, which is a great game. I love Game Ground,
Yeah.
but I don't really need the arcade version of that because we have the Sega Ages version, which is really
Yeah,
great.
I've only ever heard of that being on the Genesis. I didn't even know it was an arcade game.
Oh, it's based off an arcade game. Yeah, and but the PC Engine version is actually still the best, and that's never been ported elsewhere. Because they added all kinds of new levels and new characters that never showed up in any other version. Because it wasn't developed by Sega. It was
Yeah, yeah.
developed by like PC Avenue. So anyway, Puyo Puyo, the original. I think Puyo Puyo 2 was already announced for this, but Puyo Puyo is going to probably be the best puzzle game on here. Puzzle and action Ichiran R, which is a game that I've talked about in the past. This got a Sega Ages version, but it's similar to WarioWare. A lot of fun, actually. The arcade version of Shadow Dancer, which is great. That's the sequel to
Oh
Shinobi.
yeah.
The arcade version of Shadow Dancer is very rarely ported. very rarely ported. Because we usually get the ports we usually get are the Genesis version, and the Genesis version of Shadow Dancer is a completely different game than the arcade one. So, and the arcade version of Shinobi, which doesn't show up too often, but we did get a Sega Ages release of that. The arcade version of the original Wonder Boy, which I don't think I've ever seen get a re-release. Maybe on the Wii Virtual Console, but it's very rarely re-released. When you usually see it, it's usually sold as Adventure Island, Adventure Island 1. Wonder Boy with its original sprites and stuff, that's pretty great. And then Wonder Boy Monsterland, which hasn't, which has had a Sega Ages port, and Wonder Boy 3 Monster Lair. That one I don't think has gotten a port. Yeah, this one is kind of like the shmuppy one. This one has very rarely gotten a port, so of the arcade version. Yeah, so I'm excited about that. So that's pretty cool. I don't think the arcade version gets ported much at all. It's usually the Genesis version of this that gets ported. And that's the show for this week. We actually had a ton to talk about here with all the goings-on with the Nintendo Indie Showcase and all that Goemon stuff. What a hot topic Goemon is all of a sudden.
I just can't stop talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, like, he was the mystical ninja and Kid Ying, and now he's not.
Now he's Goemon. It happened.
He's the Robin Hood of Japan, right? Isn't that what they call him? But Japan calls him the Robin Hood of Japan. We just call him Robin Hood here.
I can't believe Goemon ripped off of Yoshimitsu from Soul Calibur.
Jeez. But and we also had all that Battletoads talk. But we just had so much going on this week that we decided that we would push off the sixth part of the Castlevania review that we've been doing over the entire franchise for next week. So please tune in to Thursday for the second part of Reactive this week, and we'll continue on there. Please remember to subscribe to the Corrective Consciousness YouTube and Soundcloud pages. It'd be nice if I had my script up while I was talking. While there, please give us thumbs ups, likes, and 5-star ratings on iTunes. I really should know this by now. I wrote it, number one. Number two, I say it every single week. Helps promote and spread awareness of the show, and any bit of encouragement helps keep the show going. Even parts of it I say twice a week. You can also catch us on Thursday for our sister podcast, Corrective Consciousness, the podcast where we explore the inanity of pop culture. That's unique to this one. Finally, you can friend me as vysethebold on pretty much everything.
And I don't know where you could find me. Oh, wait. But with my script, you could find me at...
Let's face it, you don't prefer to be found anyway.
I live in a hole. No, you could find me on my YouTube channel, Lotus Prince. You can hit me up on Twitter at Lotus Prince. And finally, if you are interested in seeing my videos early, getting in on exclusive live streams, selecting upcoming games for me to Let's Play, I just finished The Swapper, for example, or getting in conversations with me and other patrons on Discord, then perhaps consider swinging by my Patreon account, which can be found at patreon.com/LotusPrince.
All right, thanks a lot, everyone, and we will catch you on Thursday for another half of this show. Catch you then.
Until next time, everyone.
Bye.